Get up, you useless child! Did you hear me? Isabel's furious voice thundered through the marble halls, echoing like a whip across the polished floor. 7-year-old Sophie Reed stumbled back on her pink butterfly crutches, her little body shaking as tears streamed down her face. She raised her trembling arms to shield herself, crying out in desperation, "Please, don't hurt me anymore." Just then, the massive oak doors swung open. A tall man in a navy suit stormed inside, Jonathan Reed, the millionaire father. He wasn't supposed to be home yet, but fate had other plans. What he saw next froze him in his tracks and would shock everyone. Hello, family. Welcome to our story. Before we dive deeper into this powerful tale, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Smash that like and tell us in the comments where you're watching from, because this one, you don't want to miss it. The grandfather clock in the foyer chimed 2:30 as Jonathan's black Rolls-Royce glided into the driveway. The tech mogul had cut his meeting short, a rare move for a man known for control and precision. Something inside told him he needed to be home, and tonight that instinct was screaming. But as he reached the door, the sound of his daughter's cries pierced the silence. His chest tightened. Then came Isabel's cruel voice. "You'll never learn, Sophie. You're nothing but trouble." Jonathan's jaw clenched. His hands slammed the handle down, and the door burst open. Inside, the scene made his pulse race. Sophie lay on the floor, her pink dress crumpled, her small hands trembling as she reached for her fallen crutches. Isabel loomed above her in a striking red dress, her face twisted with rage, one hand gripping a baby bottle like a weapon. And Sophie's frightened voice breaking the air. "I'm sorry, Mommy Isabel. I didn't mean to." Jonathan's fury ignited. "Isabel!" His voice boomed so loudly the crystal chandelier rattled above them. The woman spun around, eyes wide with surprise before she quickly masked it with a fake sweet smile. "Jonathan, you're home early, darling. Don't lie." Jonathan's voice was sharp, each word cutting through the tension. He strode forward, his footsteps like thunder against the marble floor. He knelt beside Sophie, lifting her gently into his arms. She flinched. As his hand brushed her arm, Jonathan froze. His breath caught as he noticed faint red marks circling her small wrist, clear signs that someone had grabbed her too hard. His chest tightened with guilt and rage. "Sweetheart," he said softly, "what happened?" Sophie's teary eyes looked up at him. "I spilled water, Daddy. My crutch slipped." I said sorry, but she got mad again. Jonathan's jaw locked. He turned slowly toward Isabel, his eyes blazing. "Explain. Now." Her smile widened, voice dripping with false sweetness. "Darling, you've misunderstood." Sophie tripped. She's always clumsy. I was just teaching her to be more careful. Clumsy. Jonathan's voice cracked like thunder. He held Sophie closer. "She's stronger than you'll ever understand. Do you know what it takes for her to walk every day with these crutches? She's braver at 7 than most people in their lifetime." Isabel's mask slipped for a moment, her eyes flashing with irritation before she quickly composed herself. "Jonathan, you've been gone for weeks! You don't understand how difficult it is to manage a child with limitations." That word made Jonathan's fists clench. His daughter wasn't limited. She was extraordinary, brilliant, resilient. She was his late wife Elena's legacy, and Isabel had the audacity to call her a burden. Jonathan straightened, his voice low but burning. "Get out of my sight!" Isabel stiffened, anger rippling across her perfect face. "You can't be serious." "Try me," Jonathan snapped. His tone was final, unshakable. "I've been blind for too long. But now, I see everything. If you ever touch my daughter again, Isabel, you won't just leave this house. You'll answer to the law." For a fleeting second, Isabel's expression turned cold and dangerous. But then, with a shrug, she turned on her heel and strutted away, her heels clacking like daggers against the floor. Jonathan pressed his lips against Sophie's hair. "You're safe now, my angel. Daddy's here." But his heart ached with guilt. How many nights had she endured this while he was gone? Out of the corner of his eye, Jonathan saw Mrs. Turner, the the longtime housekeeper, frozen in the doorway. Her hands trembled as she clutched a dish towel, her eyes full of something unspoken. "Sir," she whispered, her voice trembling, "there's more you don't know, something you need to hear about. Mrs. Isabel." Jonathan's stomach dropped. He tightened his hold on Sophie and turned sharply to the housekeeper. "Tell me everything. Right now." The storm inside his house was only beginning. The mask has slipped. Isabel isn't the angel she pretended to be. Jonathan's chest rose and fell like a man ready for battle. He tightened his grip on Sophie, her tiny arms wrapped desperately around his neck. His gaze locked on Mrs. Turner, the housekeeper who had been with his family since before Sophie was born. Her eyes darted nervously toward the hallway Isabel had disappeared into. Then she stepped forward, lowering her voice to a trembling whisper. "Mr. Reed, this isn't the first time." The words struck Jonathan harder than any punch could. "What do you mean?" His voice was calm, but fire burned beneath it. Mrs. Turner's wrinkled hands twisted the dish towel. "She's been cruel to Sophie when you're away. I've seen it. The scolding, the yelling. Sometimes she makes her do things no child should do." Jonathan's fists clenched at his sides. "What things?" Mrs. Turner swallowed hard, her voice breaking. "Last week, Sophie spilled a little juice on the carpet. Isabel made her scrub the entire living room floor on her knees for hours. And when Sophie grew tired, Isabel took her crutches away so she couldn't stand. She said it was a lesson." Jonathan's blood roared in his ears. He looked down at his daughter, her small face pressed against his chest, silent tears soaking his shirt. He kissed the top of her head, his voice shaking. "Angel, why didn't you tell Daddy?" Sophie's little voice was barely a whisper. "Because she said, if I told you would send me away. She said you didn't want a broken child in your big house." The words shattered Jonathan's heart. He dropped to his knees, setting Sophie gently on the sofa. He cupped her small face in his hands. "Listen to me, Sophie. You are not broken. You are the strongest, brightest child I know. And nothing could ever make me send you away." His voice cracked with emotion. "You are my everything." Sophie clung to him, her sobs finally breaking free. Jonathan held her tightly, his jaw set like stone. "Mrs. Turner," he said, looking up at the old woman, "I need the truth. All of it. No more hiding." Mrs. Turner nodded, tears welling in her eyes. She pulled out her phone with shaky fingers. "I knew one day you'd need to see this, so I kept proof." She scrolled through her photos and handed him the screen. Jonathan's heart stopped. A picture of Sophie sitting on the floor, her face pale, her crutches leaned far out of reach. Another of her tiny hands raw from scrubbing tiles. A video clip where Isabel's harsh voice echoed. "You'll learn discipline, Sophie. Crying won't save you." Jonathan's hand shook as he held the phone. His breath grew heavy, fury coursing through his veins. This wasn't discipline. This was cruelty. The sound of footsteps made Mrs. Turner snatch her phone back. Isabel's heels clicked sharply against the floor as she reappeared, her face calm, a glass of wine in her hand. "What's all the fuss about?" "Sophie had her little accident. I've calmed down. Let's move on, shall we?" Jonathan rose to his full height, his glare like fire. "Move on? You call this moving on?" He pointed to his daughter curled on the sofa, clutching her crutches like a lifeline. Isabel sipped her wine with an icy smirk. "Oh, Jonathan, you've always been so dramatic. You think one little tantrum makes me the villain. You have no idea how hard it is to raise that child while you're out playing businessman." Jonathan's fist trembled at his sides. "You dare call my daughter a burden again and I'll—" He stopped himself, his voice turning cold as steel. "No, you're done here, Isabel. Pack your things." The smirk vanished. Isabel's eyes darkened, venom flashing in them. "You'd throw me out? After everything I've done for you? For this child?" She jabbed her finger toward Sophie. "She's the reason your life is falling apart. You don't see it, Jonathan, but she'll drag you down just like her mother did." Jonathan's rage flared. "Don't you ever mention Elena's name again?" His voice boomed so loud the windows rattled. "She was 10 times the woman you will ever be." For the first time, Isabel's mask cracked fully. Her face twisted with pure hatred, her voice sharp as glass. "You fool! You think Elena was perfect. You don't know half the truth." Jonathan froze. "What did you say?" Isabel leaned closer, her smile cold and cruel. "Your precious Elena. She wasn't as innocent as you believe. She had secrets. And if you keep pushing me, Jonathan, maybe the world will hear them." The room went silent. Mrs. Turner gasped softly. Sophie looked up at her father with wide, confused eyes. Jonathan's mind raced. What secrets? Was this just manipulation? Or was Isabel hiding something bigger? He straightened, his voice low but deadly. "Get out of this house tonight. But know this, whatever secrets you're hiding, I will uncover them. And when I do, Isabel, it won't be me you'll have to answer to. It'll be justice." Isabel's smile widened into something chilling. She set her glass down on the marble table, her heels clicking as she walked toward the door. But just before leaving, she turned back, her eyes gleaming with a dangerous promise. "You think this is over, Jonathan? Oh no, this is only the beginning. And when I'm done, you'll wish you never crossed me." The door slammed, the echo vibrating through the mansion. Jonathan's chest heaved as he pulled Sophie close again. Mrs. Turner placed a trembling hand on his arm. "Sir, Isabella's dangerous. I've seen things, heard things. She's not just cruel. She's hiding something much darker." Jonathan's eyes narrowed. "Then we find out whatever it takes." He looked down at Sophie, her big, innocent eyes still wet with tears. For the first time in years, Jonathan Reed wasn't thinking about boardrooms, profits, or deals. He was thinking only of one thing: protecting his daughter at all costs. And deep down, he knew Isabel's threats weren't empty. The real battle had just begun. The mansion was silent, but Jonathan's mind roared like a storm. Isabel's chilling words replayed in his head. "Your precious Elena. She had secrets." Jonathan sat in his study, the dim light of the desk lamp casting shadows across piles of contracts and files. Sophie slept upstairs in Mrs. Turner's room, her little hand clutching her crutches, as if afraid someone would take them away again. Jonathan stared at a family photo on his desk, Elena holding baby Sophie, both smiling in the sunshine. His chest tightened. "Elena, what secrets?" His phone buzzed. Anthony Wells, his oldest friend and personal lawyer, was on the line. "Jonathan, I just got your message. What's going on?" Jonathan's voice was low but fierce. "It's Isabel. She's been hurting Sophie. I caught her tonight." There was a pause on the other end. Then Anthony's steady voice. "I knew something was off about that woman. I warned you." Jonathan's fist clenched. "You were right. And before she left, she said something about Elena, like she knew something I didn't." "Anthony, what if she's been hiding more than just cruelty?" Anthony exhaled. "Jonathan, listen. Isabel's past has always been foggy, too perfect. I'll dig into her records deeper. But you need to focus on Sophie right now. She's the priority." Jonathan's eyes flicked toward the staircase. "She's safe for now, but Isabel's not gone for good. I could see it in her eyes." At that moment, Mrs. Turner appeared in the doorway, her voice urgent. "Sir, there's something you should see." Jonathan followed her to the small pantry off the kitchen. Mrs. Turner reached behind a stack of cleaning supplies and pulled out a plain brown folder. "She didn't know I kept this," Mrs. Turner whispered, handing it to him. "I found it tucked away in Isabel's drawer when I was cleaning." Jonathan opened the folder, his pulse spiking. Inside were receipts, bank transfers, and photos. His stomach dropped. Receipts for expensive jewelry, but not from stores Jonathan ever shopped at. Wire transfers to an unknown account under the name I. Blackwell. And photos of Sophie, snapped from the shadows, when she was alone in the garden or struggling with her crutches. Jonathan's hand shook with fury. "She's been documenting my daughter like some kind of project." Mrs. Turner's face was pale. "There's more, sir. I overheard her once, speaking on the phone late at night. She said, if Jonathan finds out, everything falls apart. She mentioned Elena's will, and something about a deposit box. Jonathan's breath caught. Elena's will. He had locked away all the paperwork after she passed, unable to face it. Could Isabel have been trying to access it? Mrs. Turner, Jonathan said firmly. Thank you. You've been braver than I realized. He gripped the folder tightly. But this changes everything. The next morning, Jonathan dropped Sophie off with his sister, ensuring she'd be safe. Then, folder in hand, he drove into the city to meet Anthony. The lawyer's eyes widened as he spread the documents across his desk. Jonathan, this isn't just cruelty. This is calculated. Isabel's been moving money, creating fake identities. And these photos of Sophie? This isn't normal. This looks like leverage. Blackmail, Jonathan's jaw set. Blackmail for what? Anthony tapped a paper. Look here, all these transfers, they started around the time Elena passed. I think Isabel knew something about her death, Jonathan. Something she's been using to position herself in your life. Jonathan's chest felt tight. Are you saying Elena's death wasn't natural? Anthony held his gaze. I don't know yet. But Isabel clearly has an agenda. And if she's threatening to expose secrets, we need to get ahead of her. I'll file a motion to secure Elena's estate records and see if there are gaps. Jonathan's knuckles whitened as he gripped the edge of the desk. If Isabel had anything to do with Elena's suffering, I'll make sure she never sees freedom again. Anthony leaned forward. Then prepare yourself. This fight won't be easy. Isabel's smart, manipulative, and ruthless. If she feels cornered, she'll come back swinging. That night, Jonathan returned home, folder in hand. The mansion was quiet, but his gut told him danger was near. He checked on Sophie, safe, asleep beside Mrs. Turner. Relief washed over him until his phone buzzed. An unknown number, a text. Checking up on your little angel? She's sweet, isn't she? Careful, Jonathan. Some secrets are too dangerous to uncover. Meet me tomorrow, or everyone will know the truth. Isabel wasn't finished. She wanted control. She wanted fear. He clenched his jaw, typing back only 2 words. Where? When? Minutes later, another message arrived with an address. A storage facility on the edge of town. Jonathan slipped his phone into his pocket, his mind racing. He glanced once more at his daughter's peaceful face. Don't worry, Sophie, he whispered. Daddy's going to end this. But as he walked out into the night, a chilling thought gnawed at him. Isabel wasn't bluffing. Whatever she knew about Elena, whatever she was hiding, had the power to destroy everything. And Jonathan was about to walk straight into the fire. The rain poured in sheets against the windshield as Jonathan's black sedan pulled into the dimly lit storage facility on the outskirts of the city. Rows of metal doors stretched into the darkness, each one hiding secrets. But Jonathan knew only one mattered tonight. He stepped out, folder in hand, his navy suit dampening in the storm. His heart pounded, not from fear, but from fury. For too long he'd been blind. Not anymore. A figure emerged from the shadows, a red coat pulled tight around her frame. Isabel. Her lips curved into a cold smile. Well, well. Jonathan Reed in the flesh. I knew you'd come. Jonathan's jaw tightened. What do you want, Isabel? She tilted her head, her voice dripping with mock sweetness. What I've always wanted. Everything you own. Everything Elena left behind. And of course, Sophie. She's the key, you know. That child holds more value than you realize. Jonathan's eyes blazed. Say her name again with that venom, and I swear you'll regret it. Isabel's laughter rang through the night. Oh, Jonathan, you still don't get it. Elena was weak. She left holes everywhere, in her will, in her estate. I was there when she was slipping away, whispering her secrets to me, and I've been collecting them ever since. Jonathan's breath caught. You poisoned her trust. You used her death to crawl into our lives. Isabel's smile widened, unrepentant. And it worked. You were so easy to fool. A grieving widower desperate for a savior. I gave you comfort, Jonathan, and in return, I got everything I wanted. Until now. Jonathan stepped forward, his voice like thunder. You wanted money, power, and control, but you underestimated one thing. Me and my daughter. With one swift motion, Jonathan tossed the folder onto the wet ground between them. Papers spilled out. Receipts, bank transfers, photographs. Proof of her lies. I have it all, Isabel. The accounts under your fake name. The photos you stalked of Sophie. The evidence of your cruelty. And I have witnesses ready to testify. Your game is over. For the first time, Isabel's confidence faltered. Her eyes darted to the papers, then back to Jonathan. No court will believe you. I'll spin it like I always do. You'll look like the absent father who couldn't handle his child's care. Jonathan smirked coldly. You're forgetting something. This time, I'm not fighting alone. Headlights flared as another car pulled up. Anthony Wells stepped out, umbrella in hand, followed by Detective Ramirez. The officer's badge gleamed under the rain. Evening, Miss Isabel Blackwell, Ramirez said firmly. Or should I say, the woman who's been hiding behind fake names for years. You're under investigation for fraud, abuse, and potential foul play in the death of Elena Reed. Isabel's face drained of color. You set me up. Jonathan's voice cut like steel. No, Isabel, you set yourself up the moment you laid a hand on my daughter. The detective stepped forward, but Isabel's desperation flared. She darted back toward the storage unit behind her, fumbling with a key. The door screeched open, revealing boxes stacked high. She yanked one open, pulling out a folder marked with Elena's name. This is mine! Isabel shrieked, clutching it to her chest. Elena wanted me to have this. She told me things she never told you. I was her friend, her confidant. Jonathan's voice boomed through the rain. You were her parasite. And tonight, the world will see you for what you really are. Detective Ramirez moved in, seizing the folder from Isabel's grasp. She screamed, fighting wildly, but the officer held firm. Anthony joined Jonathan, both men standing tall as Isabel's mask finally shattered. You'll regret this, she shrieked as the detective placed her in handcuffs. Jonathan, you'll regret ever crossing me. Jonathan's gaze was unyielding. The only regret I have is letting you into my home. But tonight, that ends. Hours later, the storm cleared. Jonathan returned to the mansion just as the first light of dawn painted the sky gold. He pushed open Sophie's bedroom door softly. She stirred, rubbing her eyes, her crutches resting against the wall. Daddy? She whispered sleepily. Jonathan crossed the room and sat beside her, pulling her into his arms. It's over, Angel. She's gone. She can't hurt you anymore. Sophie blinked up at him, her eyes glistening. Really? Jonathan kissed her forehead. Really, and I promise, I'm never leaving you again. Mrs. Turner stood quietly at the doorway, tears in her eyes, a proud smile on her face. Daddy? Sophie said softly, her little voice filled with hope. Do you think Mommy Elena can see us? Jonathan's throat tightened. He held her close, whispering, Yes, Angel, and she's proud of you, proud of how brave you've been. Sophie smiled faintly, resting her head on his chest. For the first time in months, she slept peacefully, safe in her father's arms. Jonathan sat there, staring out the window at the rising sun. He wasn't just a millionaire anymore. He wasn't just a businessman. He was a father who had finally woken up, and nothing, no one, would ever come between him and his daughter again, because wealth meant nothing without family. And justice, though delayed, had finally been served. Family, if you believe no child should ever live in fear, raise your voice with us. Hit that subscribe button, smash the like, and drop a comment telling us where you're watching from. Because stories like this remind us, evil may hide for a while, but truth and justice will always shine through.